speaker is Peter Smith, and he's a Unison Central Lancashire Health Branch Secretary.
Yes. Hi, thanks for inviting me. We're all going to talk about privatisation and the two students already are. But when you talk to people that are involved in the NHS, like we are, it's very difficult for them to understand that we are actually being privatised, because they expect the government to come out and say we're being privatised, because that's what's happened before with other industries. Well, the government knew they could do that. They knew if they came around and said we are privatising the NHS, it would be an uproar. And you people would, they know you're valid and they know you're defending. So what they're doing is privatising it by stealth. And that sounds complicated. And it is complicated, it's hard to explain. So what I'm trying to do is put a bit of a blueprint together that explains how they're doing that. It's going to cover some of the stuff that you guys have, but in a different way. So the first thing you do, if you want to privatise the health service by stealth, is you tell the public you've ring-fenced the budget, and then you secretly remove billions of pounds of it. In 2010, the NHS was ranked the most efficient health service in the world. Yet our government convinced us that efficiency savings were necessary. We set about imposing those efficiency savings on the NHS organisations. Those efficiency savings equate to about 20% of our budget. That in money is £19,120 million that no one will go into towards frontline care. The second thing, if you want to privatise the NHS, is you spend a further £1.8 billion of the NHS budget on reorganising our commissioning bodies into manageable parts that are easy to privatise. Because what we had before with PCTs, we had three commissioning bodies, and they were vast entities, very difficult to break apart and privatise. What the government did is split us up then into 8 commissioning bodies, all neatly packaged, so they're able to privatise. The third thing you do, you dramatically cut the public health budget, and the public health budget is different, slightly different than the NHS budget. And that's around mainly care in the community and things like that. What that does is it means that people don't get the care in the community, so the conditions they have worse for them, and then they end up in hospital, and that puts a strain on the hospital service, it puts a strain on beds. The next thing is, and Rachel commented on this as well, you introduce legislation that forces the commissioning bodies to put every NHS contract into full market tender, and that's what we did. In 2012, the Health and Social Care Bill became the Health and Social Care Act. And what that said is that any NHS contract now has to go out to full competitive tender. And that's where we're at this moment in time. The fifth thing you do when privatising the NHS, on top of everything else I've just said, is you attack the NHS in the press. So when your NHS organisations are sufficiently struggling, when they're crumbling under these budget cuts, you will Jeremy Mills out into every news organisation that will allow him to speak, which is all of them. So we can blame the organisations themselves, so we can blame the staff that work in those organisations that they're causing the problem. And then it says, well, the solution is we'll put it out to private, we'll put this trust or we'll put this organisation out to private tender, and the private sector will come in and fix the problem. No mention of the fact that it was them that put us into that position in the first place. The sixth thing you do, number 6, is you let the value of staff's pay decrease by 20% over a 4-year period. making NHS wages a more attractive proposition for the private companies, because the private companies won't take our services if it pays higher than what they want to pay. But if you let the staff's wages decrease over a period of time, suddenly become very, very attractive to these NHS companies. And keeping the wages low. Keeping the wages low also has a detrimental effect on the staff working in those organisations, with some under extra pressure, and further diminishes the service that is being delivered. We have actually, as Unison, we have had staff nurses sat in our branch office crying right now, because they can no longer pay the mortgages, or they're having to make decisions about buying clothes for the kids, putting food on the table, buying themselves dinner at work, and that's where we're at the moment. So that's it. Those are the points. That's what's happening, and it's all designed to break down the NHS, to demoralise the NHS, so that the solution can be from the government will go, it's not working, the NHS isn't working, we're going to shove it out to our private sector colleagues who were all major shareholders of the companies, and we're going to let them deal with it. And that is how the NHS is being privatised at the moment. So what does that mean on the ground? I'm going to start with commissioning. You might have heard one of our commissioning bodies, and it's the main national commissioning body, which is NHS England, and they hold the budget for pretty much most of the rest of the NHS. And you'll see them in the paper recently. There was a bit of a scandal about bonuses, about the chief execs receiving massive bonuses when the rest of the NHS is struggling in the way it is. What was buried in that story, what a lot of people won't pick up on, is that they are privatising the financial side of NHS England. So the bit that actually physically owns the money. And it was going to go out to one company. They weren't even prepared to tender the EMAX company to do it, and it was going out to them. And one of the things they were going to do is send part of the service out to India. We were going to contract it out to India. Since then, I believe there's legal challenges gone in, and by the likes of Virgin Circle, private companies, and now it's going out to full competitive tender. So in 6 months' time, that's what we're looking at. That's when we think that will happen. Private company will have control of the NHS budget, and they will take a couple for its frontline services. So in Lancashire teaching hospitals, where I'm from, that covers Royal Preston Hospital and Charlie District Hospital, we're struggling. We are struggling, and we've been in the papers quite a lot recently. I think a lot of people do know that we're struggling. Staff have been asked to do more and more with less and less. Services are constantly being restructured as the trust struggles to meet the efficiency targets. And through that, many staff are facing downgrading. That's happening a lot at the moment. We so far seen our laundry services, parts of our pharmacy services be awarded to private companies, and the trust are currently attempting to privatise our transport services for the second time in 3 years. You'll see reports in the news about winter pressures, and you've mentioned it a minute ago, winter pressures and escalations of work used. And basically, just to explain what that means, is that there's no effect to people. So we're having to treat people in areas that aren't fit for that purpose. The other thing about winter pressures is, back in 2010, before the government was COVID, winter pressures was something that happened for about 3 month period of winter.
That's what they call winter.
They were called winter pressures. Now, I'm starting to think we actually live in the North Pole, because winter's lasted for 2 years at the moment. And there's no sign of it going. Well, that can be directly attributed to the cuts in the NHS budget and the public health budget directly attributed to it. But that's part of the plan. They're trying to run us into the ground so that we can say the NHS doesn't work and they can ship it out to their private sector mates. So Lancashire Care Trust, we've got privatisation there, we've got domestic services, portering, catering, maintenance, they've all been privatised in Lancashire Care Trust. And then we've got what he mentioned a minute ago, Upshaw Village. Upshaw, that's a full health centre that is sending out to the private sector. And the thing is, we said 2 years ago that would happen. We sat in a meeting in the council chambers 2 years ago, and I said this has been created with the view of privatisation. It's not very old, it's only one of a few years. So it's right for it. And they made the Protect All Hospital campaign that I'm also a member of, and we voiced that, and we said we were lunatics basically. Well, you know, I'm not very happy about, you know, I take no pleasure in being vindicated here, because I really hoped we were wrong, but we weren't. It happened. It's happening now. So that's it. The evidence is there. You can see it's happening. But it shouldn't. The NHS that we built as a society and maintained for 66 years is being smashed into bits and it's being sold off to the average bidder. Our greatest achievements as a people will now serve to line the pockets of company executives and shareholders across the land. Whilst the people it was built to care for will go without healthcare or face crippling debt to pay for treatment. We cannot allow this to continue any longer. We built the health service together and we must protect it together. Now Bevan said that the NHS will last as long as there are folk left with the spirit to fight for it. Well, I've got the spirit to fight for it and I'm willing to fight for it. Unison have got the spirit to fight for it and willing to